So what I'm going to try to focus in on today is some of the lesser known tips and tricks, some of the little techniques that can make you work a little bit faster, a little bit smarter, and make it look better for your clients. So hopefully I'll skip past the simple, easy stuff and kind of get to the meat and potatoes and show you some cool stuff, hopefully. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll get started, and this is going to be very unscripted. We're just going to kind of play around in the system, and I will show you some cool tips and tricks along the way. I'm not going to do a formal PowerPoint or anything like that for y'all today. So this is intended to be very interactive and engaging. So by all means, feel free to pipe in, y'all. Okay. This is very much participatory. All right. All right, so the first thing is, first off, where do you get to it? Everybody pretty much always knows, where to find where to find how to initiate a simple search. So I'm just going to go and let's say we're searching on a property, and I just happen to put in, I'm looking in and around Woodstock, and if I can get my cursor to work. Y'all seeing my screen okay? Or did I share it? Okay. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right. So I am looking at Woodstock. Why is this thing acting so slow lately? All right. So the first order of business, and most everybody knows when you're looking at properties and you see, let's say I'm here and I see this property on 2757 Twisted Oak Lane, and I want to schedule a showing. Most of us know to use the link right down here to schedule a showing, and that brings you to this very simple, very easy thing. And most of us are probably going to schedule a single showing. Am I correct about this so far? Everybody's like, okay, I can see availability. I'm going to try to schedule this for 1 o'clock today, showing between 1 and 1:30. Let me tell you, one of my best tips and tricks is to make sure that you assign this to a buyer. It says it is optional right there, but I'm going to tell you there's a lot of advantages to actually putting your buyer in here. And I think that most agents do not do this. But if you do, it makes it real easy to track your activity, your showings, your engagement with a particular client. Okay, so I encourage you to put your client in here and assign this showing to them. If they're not automatically in here, it is a very simple process to add and fill in these 1, 2, 3, 4 fields, 4 or 5 fields of who your client is. Okay, and in a minute, I'm going to show you why you want to do this on the other end of this process. But for now, this is the process to go through and book your one single showing at 1 o'clock today. Okay. I would also encourage you to accurately reflect on the appointment type, what type of showing it is. In most cases, you're going to put in a single showing and it's going to be your first. But it could be your second, could be your third. I like to use ShowingTime for scheduling things even after the home goes under contract. So if I'm going to have the inspection during the due diligence, you can use ShowingTime to schedule that inspection. Photography, likewise, walkthrough on the final walkthrough on the morning of. It's just easier to have all of these appointments in the system and to request that appointment and have it formally requested through the ShowingTime system. That way you've got a record of everything and it's all kept in one place. Everybody okay with this so far? However, let me encourage you, does everybody, okay, by show of hands on the thing, how many of you have used showing carts before, the showing cart system? Oh, I'm about to blow your minds. You're going to love this, okay? Showing cart is the way, how many times are you showing a person just one home, one and done, you meet there at the house and you leave? Most of the time you're showing multiple houses, right? 2, 3, 4. Wouldn't it be great if you had the ability to do some route planning and an agenda and an itinerary to show you how much time you have to go between house number 1 and house number 2, right? I'm about to blow your minds, y'all. Ready? Here we go, here we go. So we were in here And we were in 27 Twisted Oak. So what we would normally do is schedule this single showing. I'm going to encourage you to use add to showing cart. Showing cart is how you can book multiple showings in one single session and keep them all together. Okay, so it brings you to this menu bar. Let's say we're planning our routes for tomorrow. So we're going to do this the 26th. And I'm going to do this, I don't know, I'm just picking the first name on here for my client, Hannah Frank. The Franks I worked with probably 3 years ago. They're still in my client base. Here we go. This brings up this menu. So now you see your Twisted Oak Lane is the first home on your itinerary. And now you have the ability to see the availability. This home is, by looking at this bar graph over here, it's available to show between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. on Friday. If I was to change the date, I would see what their availability is on that particular day. If there was an appointment already scheduled and this home was not available to show between noon, you'd see this time blocked off. Okay. So now this is okay if you just have one showing, but now what we're going to do is go back and let's add some more showings to this. All right, let's find some additional homes that we wanted to show our client. Hey, I like this one. There's two options. You could come down here and hit the showing time, schedule a showing again, and it's going to pull up your menu bar. And here's where you could do the single showing. But if we wanted to add it to the showing cart, click here, and now we see you can either create a new one if you were doing a different client, but remember Hannah was here. I'm going to add it to my tour for Hannah, and boom, hit next. Now I have both properties. And not only do I have both properties, I have some mapping to tell me how far apart they are from each other. I can see straight up here, notice in between house number 1 and house number 2, I can see that there are less than a mile away from each other and only 3 minutes travel time apart from each other. Okay. Let's just, for grins and giggles, let's go back and we're going to add another home. Let's just kind of go down through, I don't know where we are. Let's look at, I like this one. All right, so let's look at this one. Notice there is no ShowingTime link right here. Any ideas? Why do you think that is? Maybe because they aren't offering it on this particular property. Some agents, believe it or not, are not savvy enough to figure out how to work ShowingTime. I hope that you are not in that category. I don't know who this agent is, but I'll just not say anything about it. But however, you can still come in here. Let me show you a little trick. I'm going to copy and paste the MLS number because there's another way to do this. Let's go back to your showing cart. Actually, this was the showing cart we were in. Notice you've got the ability to put in a listing ID number right here in the appointment information at the top. So let's just out of curiosity, paste the number to that home that didn't have the ShowingTime link in here and press go. It actually knows that that home exists. It relates to the MLS number and you see it added here, but what you see is this listing is not accepting online appointment requests. That may be hard for y'all to read. So this means, okay, you can still add it to your itinerary, but you're not going to be able to request the appointment through the ShowingTime system. You're going to have to go in here and do it on your own. Does that make sense? So it still allows you to put all of these in an itinerary and plan your itinerary, even though that particular house is not accepting ShowingTime appointments. Okay. So now I've got my 3 homes loaded in here that I want to show them. And now I want to actually plan my routing and plan to show this house in the most efficient, all 3 of these in the most efficient way with my client. All right. Now let's take this map and put this into perspective. And if we go in order of 1, 2, 3 houses, we're going to end up mapping, we're going to start here, we're going to drive over to this side, and then we're going to backtrack our route all the way back. Does that make efficient route planning? It really doesn't. Okay. So let me cue you into a couple of options available to you right here. I love this Smart Route button. Smart Route, if you click it, will automatically plan the route in the most efficient way based off of your first home first. It's going to always go with number one, and then it's going to plan the route around it. So let's see what it does. Calculating Smart Route. Guess what? It didn't change it because it always starts on house number one. Let's say, for example, to make this the most efficient way, we probably want to go and do house number two is now house number one. So I'm going to change some numbers. 1, and this is going to become 2, and I'm going to hit the update button, and now you see 1, 2, 3 makes the most sense, right? And if I was to hit Smart Route, this is a little bit of an artificial simulation because we only had the 3, but you guys got the idea. The system routes it in the most efficient way possible to put the least amount of distance and the least amount of time between these two homes. Make sense, everybody, so far? Okay. So now I'm going to go, all right, I'm going to start. My client says anytime after noon would be great. All right, we're going to start at house number 1 on Wrigley Road at noon. Let's go here. Actually, I did it from 12:15 was what I clicked. So let's just go noon even, and we're going to do a 30-minute session. And this is going to be our first showing. So I can leave that the same. If I needed instructions or any instructions to my buyer, I would write those notes here, and I'm going to put that in here. Notice now it blocks that time. All right. So now I can look and go, all right, I've only got a mile between this home and only 3 minutes between here. So I could probably schedule my next one right at 12:30. 12:30, let's do a 30-minute block of time. And I don't know what you guys feel. 30 minutes for me for planning purpose is just about right. Okay. But I will tell you, if the house is like 7,000 square feet, if it's a mansion that's going to take a long time to walk through, I might program 45 minutes or an hour. Or if I know my clients are really detail oriented and super slow, you guys have had them before, a client that's like wants to see every room in the house and open every closet and every cabinet, and you know it's going to take longer, book longer times. It's just that simple. Okay, let's go back. So now I can see, let's say, for example, I picked another home that was way far away. I could come in here and say, okay, I need to put 30 minutes of time in between. And I've now got them in here, hit save. Okay, so now I've got everything kind of route planned out. It seems to make the most sense to me. There are now a couple of additional options. So first off, notice the appointment type and the appointment status is reflected here. You have not yet requested any of these appointments yet, so you actually have to send them out. So right here is the send requests button, and if I were to click this, all 3 of these agents or these sellers would receive their showing request notification, and you would sit back and wait for your confirmation, and it will literally say right here on the appointment status, requested, awaiting confirmation. All right. Works great. Now you've got all 3 of them there. What do you do with this information? Go ahead.
Hey, I got a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For that last one that you were showing with that's not in ShowingTime. Those, when you click send request, it's only going to send the 2, right? It's not going to send the 3.
Right, okay. And that, you're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
It is only going to send those 2, and basically just know that it's going to be incumbent upon you to physically call. I mean, you can actually reflect this as requested on here if you wanted to, but it's going to be up to you to call and physically confirm it before you actually go. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah.
Here I was showing you something on my screen and realize you're staring at my face and not my screen. Sorry about that, y'all.
No worries.
So yeah, you can mark this as requested, or if you've already called and they've confirmed, you can mark that status there, which works great. Which is the next step of what you're going to do is you're going to send this itinerary to your client. Your client is going to go, wow, look at this. my agent has perfected this the showing process, sent me this itinerary. You see the little link that you're going to get right here, Control C. Let me just open this bad boy up for y'all. They're going to get that email with this link, and it's going to show them, here's the 3 houses on the itinerary that we are going to go see today. Make sense? So they can see that. But the other thing that you can do, love this little button right up here. It's the print button. This allows you to produce a high quality, very professional or not a presentation, but an itinerary to show these are the houses that we're going to. It's branded with your information up at the top. It's telling them, here's our buyer's tour for Friday the 26th, and it puts their client's name right there. 3 stops, 2.5 miles, and they can see exactly the houses that we're going to and in the order that we're going to them. I like to do the little show map thing up here, which makes this visible, simply because I'm a man and I read maps well. Some of us are not, but it works well for me personally. There are 2 different versions. If you notice up here, there's an agent version. The agent version has all of the information dealing with the showing in it. The buyer's version is more blank. I print 2 of these copies. I print 1 copy for me as the agent version, and I print 1 copy for the buyer's version. And when we meet at the first house, I hand them a copy of this buyer's version. Okay. And that works great because now they've got something physical to hold and in their hands and in their car with them as they're navigating to the second house and the third house. Okay. I also tell them, hey, let's use this little sheet as our note-taking guide, for lack of a better term. And they can use their little notes, and I use this sheet as taking notes on each house as we go through. And Letitia has been on showings with me. She knows one of my techniques is asking them for the number rating as we walk out of the house. All right. When I walk out of the house, I'll say, all right, folks, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no thank you, 10 being I want to move in tomorrow. Rate this house on that scale for me. And I'll literally write it down on this itinerary on my agenda. And then at the end of the day, I can look at them and I can go, okay, we saw 4 houses today, 2 7s, an 8, and a 4. What would it take that 8 to become a 10 for you? And it gives you a framework to have that conversation. And then if you're practicing Ninja 9 rules and keeping your top 3 rolling houses, that number 8 is going to be one of your number 1s, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about when I talk about the top 3 rolling? As you're showing a house, you say, okay, I'm going to keep track of your top 3 favorite homes. And we're going to just roll through. All right. And as you find a new house that you like, I'm going to ask you, do you like this better than the third one? Or do you like it better than the second one? And if that's the case, then we're replacing your top 3 with the new one. And we just always keep those top 3 running. Okay, that's a Ninja 9 rule beyond the scope of what we can talk about today, but I like it anyway. It's a great tool. All right.
Jamie, that's the question.
Go for it, Letitia. Go.
Would this map be also good if you're going to use the mobile showing thing? Do you have to give that to Mike, when you're going to schedule the mobile showing van?
Not a bad idea. Yeah, it would be good if you say, okay, here's the showing itinerary for what I want to use the MSO for. That would be great. He'd probably think you were
on top of
pretty sweet. Okay. Thank you for that question. Let me try to hit a couple of highlights as we go. All right. So this is the printing of the tour and the way that you can print those, and also the way that you can send the itinerary, email the itinerary ahead of time to your client. All right. Now then, let me introduce you to another concept. All right. How many times have y'all been showing homes and you put your itinerary together? 3 of them are in FMLS and 1 of them is in Georgia MLS. Who hates that more than me? I don't know. However, let me introduce you to a little concept. If you have your ShowingTime set up, which I'll show you how to go about doing that real quick, but it is also possible to add homes to your itinerary if they are a Georgia MLS home. All right. So the prerequisite is you have to have your Georgia MLS set up in your settings, but it is fairly easy. And just for sake of example, I'm going to plug in a Georgia MLS number that I pre-selected, 101632299. And I'm going to hit go. It's going to add that home to my itinerary. And notice right here it is Villa Roma. So you see the 700 series MLS numbers for all three of our other homes. And now we have this Georgia MLS home that is the 100 series MLS numbers. And of course, appointment is required. Haven't requested it yet. Oh my goodness, it's still only 4 minutes away. I could probably tack it at the end of my day and put it right there at 12:15. This was a $1.6 million house. It's probably pretty large. I might need a little bit of extra time, like a full hour in there. So I'm going to do 2:15 to 3:15. Notice how it blocks that time. I can now hit send requests. Okay. What happens if all of a sudden I find out after I've sent my request that house number 2 has declined our appointment? Sorry, we went under contract. Very simple. Come in here, remove. Okay, it's now been removed from your itinerary, and you've just now rerouted your plan, leaving out that house number 2. Okay, and it also now tells me I have a big gap right here between these 2 appointments. So it's very simple to come back into the system after you've been out of it. Let me show you just out of grins and giggles. Say later in the day, I find out that one of those appointments has canceled. Come back to my dashboard. You can see your external links, and you can link directly to your ShowingTime from here. I'm going to go to Showings, Showing Cart. I now see Hannah Frank is in here, and I can now pull it directly up, and now I can go, you know what? This one is now got this big gap in here. If they hadn't confirmed, if this was still requested, now I could come back and go, you know what? I don't need that big time in between here. So now I'm going to go, let's move it. And it's now telling you, please allow one person to home at a time. Showing a listing side representative will be at the camera. Oh, this particular house has the listing agent must be present for showings. So that's what this is telling me. Okay. But if I wanted to, I would simply change the time frame, and now we're going to do it 2:45 to 12:45 to 1:45. Hit save, and now I would have to send the request to reaffirm that appointment. That all makes sense to everybody? If you try this and your Georgia MLS number does not work in here, it is because you have to do your setup in here. And that is actually fairly easy to do. But we are very quickly running out of time. Let me show you very quickly how to do your setup. When you are in here, you can go to your agent setup. And I'm just going to go to mine to show you. If you come here and you have only first MLS listed here, you have to add Georgia MLS, and you can simply add to your profile, enter your Georgia MLS number and your login information, and you will now see both of your MLSs connected right here. You're still going to have one of them as your primary. I strongly recommend that you keep it as first MLS, but when you add the secondary MLS, that allows you to use Showing Cart to book both MLS properties for your showings. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. I apologize. The time goes so quickly. I think I've got to cover like 10 things, and I end up covering 3, and we run out of time. But hopefully, I was able to give you a couple little nuggets of wisdom. Anybody have any aha moments today? See something you hadn't seen before?
Yeah, for me, there were a couple things. adding the Georgia MLS to it, and then showing card. I literally never used that before. So yeah.
I've walked through this office before and seen agents that were planning their showings for their Saturday morning on a Friday afternoon, and they're like, no, wait, I got to go to Google Maps. That's a 30-minute trip between those two.
Right.
And I'm like, why are y'all doing that?
Right.
You don't need to, it doesn't have to be that hard.
Right.
Okay. Use that tool. It is God's gift to real estate agents. As long as you know how to use it, it'll make your life so much easier, and it'll make you look more professional to your clients too. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.